Hey, so hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be running through one of the games where I played Ilban. So Ilban is one of the leaders which I really enjoy and I think it's really good. I think Oski rates it as a F tier leader, but I think you can watch this game and understand why it's very good. Yeah, so one more thing is that before we start this video, I have a puzzle for all of you. This is one of the last actions of the game, and in this action, what do you think I do in this position? So I have drew all my cards for this round. There are no good ways for me to draw new cards. And I think if you analyze the board position, I do want to get some faction bumps. However, I don't really have any good ways to get there. There's text available and I have appropriate in hand, but I don't have any good ways to generate Solari as well. So what will you do? And think about it for a moment and then resume play once you think of the solution. Hey, so hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be running through one of the games where I played Ilban. So Ilban is one of the leaders which I really enjoy and I think it's really good. I think Oski rates it as a F tier leader, but I think you can watch this game and understand why it's very good. So in this game, I'm a bit sad because Lito and Ecaz are picked and they both like to go Mentat. So it's not very good for me. Baron's in second position as well. So Wealth is open to me, round 1. So I go for Wealth and Dagger play. This is a very standard Ilban opening. I talk about it in my opening guide as well. Reasoning is good, is that even though you spend your Solari, you're actually using your Solari to get you more persuasion. More persuasion turns into better cards, and with these better cards, you draw faster because you're cycling through your deck. And then, and because of actually Imperium Ceremony, I picked Ilban. I could have picked Helena as well, but I picked Ilban. And because it's an on-play green, a good on-play green. Yeah, and I'm looking for that. So, but when it comes down to Baron nukes the roll. I mean, it's immortality, it happens. But opulence is there. So currently I have 5 persuasion in hand with a dagger. So if I go to tech negotiators, I'll be able to get 6 persuasion. So that's what I'm aiming to do. So this combat is also not cheap. If I have to go in, I have to go in with 2 troops for 1 spice. It's not good as well. So I get opulence. And Mentat turns into opulence round 1, which I can see round 2, but eventually I draw actually double daggers round 2. It's very bad draw. Like the worst draw possible round 2. But let's see what I end up doing. So because of the combat, so I talked about this quite a lot, that early Solari is very important in the game. Early Solari dictates who gets Swordmaster. So I'm very keen on putting in 2 troops now because I think that is the easiest I can get blocked on yellow to deploy on combat. So I play a yellow card, I put 2 troops into combat, and with 2 daggers, I'm quite happy if I'll get second place. I think even if I don't get Swordmaster, being able to fund Mentat also is very good moving forward. So I know that round 3 I have opulence, so I have some path to Swordmaster if it comes down to it. So with the spice I used to convert into some advantage immediately, I choose Chalmurky. I think any of the options are fine. I choose Chalmurky because I like intrigues. Intrigues are sometimes like mini quests that you have to kind of embark on. And the earlier you get these intrigues, the earlier you can plan for them. Because they're generally good in a certain situation. And if you can set up yourself for the right situation to use intrigue, that's the best. That's the best. Okay, so I get a Contaminator and the Bandit Treasure card that allows you to trash. Both I'm very happy with. I'm very surprised Contaminator came around to me. I think Lito should have definitely picked it up round 1. It's a very strong card, especially you have Swordmaster. So Lito also chooses not to get Replacement Eyes. I think that's wrong. I think Replacement Eyes is really a very powerful card that you should consider buying. So round 3 comes around. I kind of gesture to blue that no, yellow has 7 Solari, don't ship down for Solari. But he also wants to get his Swordmaster. So what he does is he goes to ship up, and using the research, he actually trashes the Assassination Mission, which is a wonderful play. He gets up to 8 Solari round 3, and now he gets Swordmaster round 3. So green also gets interstellar shipping, and yellow is really triggered. He's triggered this entire game. He plays Baron in second position. He has no access round 2 to go to interstellar shipping. Round 3 he doesn't have priority anymore, and he doesn't have ways to go to Swordmaster. rounds 3 and 4. And potentially he cannot go round 5 because Lito will ship down and get Solari as well. So Mentat is open to me. I get Mentat. Because I can replenish one Solari with the ring, I'll still get up to 8, which is enough for Swordmaster. Okay? So in this situation, I do want to play my Diplomacy, and I do want to pick up this combat for cheap if I can get it. So Ecaz goes to put in some troops. He puts in 2. And even though he has 2 intrigue cards, I still think it's worth to cover him and force intrigues out of him. Maybe this finesse can win me the combat as well. But either way, if I win, it's the point. So if he put in 1, I'll put in 2. If he put in 2, I put in 3. Quite simply. Okay, it comes around to me, and this time I pick up something that I normally don't pick up as Ilban. I pick up Chani, and the reason I pick up Chani is because I've contaminated my deck. So always plan ahead. So Contaminator is very good if you have water, but if you don't have water, you're very easy blocked because if you cannot go to Steel Suits, then it's a dead card in hand. But with 1 water, you have both Steel Suits and Hardy Warriors available to you. And Hardy Warriors is even more of value to me because I have no troops. So in this particular case, I choose to get the water because of the Great Flat Spice that's there. I'm in priority to get it, and I don't see many other paths which other players can get it. However, I forget that Green can actually get Wind Traps by Interstellar Shipping. So he grabs it a bit late, but he does grab it, and I'm a bit sad that he gets. So yeah, that the spice won't be there once I grab Swordmaster. I do want to grab Swordmaster, and I prefer to grab Swordmaster rather than to give it to him. Sometimes if you give up Swordmaster now, you'll never know when you get it back because like you lose all your position to buy Swordmaster. I look through my deck because I know I'm going to force a reshuffle. Think about what cards I want to buy, what cards I can draw. Yep. So Green initially chooses to go for a power play onto Hardy Warriors, put in 4 troops. However, he decides against it. I think this is the wrong choice. I think he should have definitely put in 4 troops here. But eventually he changes his mind and goes to Wealth. So I'm very happy because now this means the Great Flat Spice is available to me, and I'm excited to go and grab this spice. I don't know what the spice will turn into, but a lot of spice is good. Generally you can buy the spice and then you can figure out what to do with it later. Especially if it's early enough. You can always empty it out for high-costed tax or to go to Highliner to win a combat. But Ecaz actually has Intrigue that gives him water, and this allows him to grab the spice, and I am quite displeased with this set. So my turn, I play I mean I cannot go to Great Flat anymore, but I still choose to use my experimentation. The reason is that you kind of want to research throughout the game. So you do want to play your experimentations and finding decent opportunities to use it. Yeah, is good. So I draw a double cross, and actually I choose to play double cross this round. Can you think of who I want to play for? I think after yellow X, you can yellow puts in more troops. So after yellow puts in more troops, who do you think I should double cross? So I made a mistake here. I actually thought that blue had no more daggers in hand. So he actually trashed 2 daggers, and I can see both of Baron's daggers. So I assume that both of them have no daggers. I think if I was taking the game a little bit more seriously, I would have recorded it down. But actually, Ecaz has Lisan Elgate in his deck. And that card allows you to get two swords if you have the Fremen Bond. And he definitely has a Fremen Bond. He has so many Fremen cards in his deck already. And so, because of that, I double cross yellow hoping that they tie so that I can play finesse to kind of win the combat. But it doesn't play out that way. And yellow is really upset that I double crossed him. So blue, by going to selective breeding, gets up to 7 persuasion. He buys Shah Halud. He's able to trash 2 more cards. He trashes both convincings. So one thing about trashing both convincings is that it signals to the table that you're not buying spice or slows, right? So yes, you are going to win combats, but you're not buying spice or slows. So that's something you should be conscious about. Okay, so it'll be hard to win him in combat, but it's not impossible. I always feel combat is a management of resources. So if you have enough resources, you generally can win a combat. But if you have good combat cards, I mean, of course it helps, right? But so the trade-off is you cannot buy spice slows. So the next round comes around. This is round 5. Okay, green goes into the shipping again. Baron plays Long Reach. And blue goes for Hardy Warriors. He puts in a few troops. I explained to yellow that I have a reason for double crossing him, but it's hard to explain because we're not in voice chat together. Okay, on my turn, I play an experimentation. The reason I play experimentation now to collect spice is that the value is just high. The experimentation goes to a good spot, you get a decent amount of spice, and you get to move it down. One thing I made a mistake is that I click forward in the scarab because sometimes I forget it's scripted, and I claim the 2 spice from getting the first Toixu point. Eventually, I do remove it later on in the game, and it doesn't influence the game. So in this game, I initially was worried about the Baron, but now I'm more worried about Ecaz. Ecaz is a very powerful combat deck, and based on how the game plays out, he might steamroll us if a few combats line up well. So in this situation, I know there are opulence in my deck, and I'm prepared to go to Conspire if I need to do so to play opulence. I'm a big believer in playing your opulence to get the Solari early in the game. You do need to generate the Solari in order for you to spend it. Like it is not free. That the points from opulence are not free, like unless you have interstellar shipping, which I mean, if you have, it's good either way. But you do need to spend you need to get your Solari in order to spend it. So Wealth is still available to me, so I go to Wealth and I just take the Solari. I put in 1 troop, and I think you should always try to put in 1 troop. See, this 1 troop can get you so much value. No matter who wins the combat, right? The second place puts in quite a number of troops, but I get almost the same reward between the second and third place. So this is all just because you put in 1 troop and you commit that 1 troop. So if you can, you always look to try to put in this 1 troop. So blue picks up another Feminine Combat card. So he has so many swords in his deck already. His current review reveals him for 7 swords, and puts him way ahead of green. In this situation, I buy Appropriate. I love Appropriate as a card. I think it's very strong. Okay. Yep. So it goes around. Green passes, and blue wins the combat. I get 3rd place. I pick up a combat card. Ally Armada. So this card generally wins you a point. So I see that there's a point available, and so I'm thinking about when I want to push in the troops. Do I want to push in the troops this round or next round? And let's see how this round plays out. So Baron finally gets to go to Interstellar. Blue goes to Research Station. Blue goes to he goes down then up the research track and goes on the top row. So he gets to the end of the research track really quickly. Normally when someone does this, I'm a bit scared that the intrigues that give him points because you have reached the end of the research track. But there's not much you can do about it. Right? So my turn, first thing I do is I grab the Mentat. I think grabbing Mentat is always something that you want to do with your first action as Ilban. It is very strong and sets up the entire round. And no other leaders really want to do it in the first action. Unless it's late in the game and their hand is really bad. So blue gets an alliance with the Bene Gesserit. And I choose to play my dagger to get High Council. I think about Spice of Slows now. It is round 5, and I think here on out I'll be trying to get Spice of Slows as much as I can. Yeah, green talks about not wanting to fight blue because blue is so strong. Normally in this situation, you want to fight blue all at once. You want to pick a timing and go in against blue. You don't want to kind of lose multiple troops. You just want to drain off his resources. Yeah. So green and blue constantly talk about green and yellow constantly talk about blue and how he is like the best player in the world. Okay, and comes back around to me. I think about this combat. So actually, blue doesn't have too many combat troops deployed, and I think about how many swords he has. He probably has around 10 swords, right? With Ella Armada, I'm actually pretty confident that I can win, right? Because I'm confident I can win, I choose to go. I think about it for really long. I think this is a pivotal moment in the game. So I go to the Haga Basin to get 2 spice. Not great use of spice. Like not great use of the water because there's no bonus spice. But I mean, Haga Basin gives me the spice I need to make the plays, right? So I set up. So I set up for a highliner play. So blue gets Stilgar, and that's another 3 daggers that he can put into any combat. So I finesse up to get another 2 troops. I get 7 troops. I deploy 7 troops in, and now I have an alliance with the Emperor, so I can use Ally Armada. And I currently am tied with blue. Blue's at the end of the research track, and the first thing he does. Okay, I also buy a Spice Buffalo. And get the Beetle point with X37. X37 is a good card. So he plays 6 swords. I play 7, but he plays another combat card, and this happens. You have to try it. You have to force it off him, and you hope that green contests him one of the rounds down the road. So that he doesn't get all the combats for free. So I use X37, I get a Scarab, I draw 2 cards, and I look at his hand. I have Opulence and I have Appropriate. Ideally, you want to have Solari, you use them both, but if I don't really have that Solari. I think this is a good time to think about what you do in my situation. Let's say if you're Ilban, what will you try to do? What are your objectives? So I hope you thought about it. My first objective actually is to get enough Solari for Opulence. I think that's the most crucial thing. Okay, I am thinking about this tech that gets me 2 faction bumps. I can't remember his name. I don't buy it enough. But at the same point in time, I think Opulence is a guaranteed point, and the other ones are points that I can kind of scrounge up later, right? So I do want to get Opulence, and other than Opulence, I also kind of want to get a Spice of Slow. So let's see how do I go about it. So the easiest way to get Solari is just to smuggle up and down. Right, you smuggle up and down, you get a bunch of Solari. You can even use your yellows to get your research. So that's what I do. I get a faction bump. So where we get a faction bump, so if I was playing in a tournament game, I was aiming for a second, I'll definitely get it in spacing. But if I'm trying to win the game, I'm getting it in Bene Gesserit because I'm still thinking about this tech that I can get to get 2 faction bumps. And I do not know how I'm going to get there, but I want to get to a point where I can buy this tech. And if I can buy this tech, that's worth 2 points for me, and that's very, very valuable. Okay. So the gameplay slows down a bit. I think everyone's a bit, yeah. It's late in the game. Everyone kind of needs to think through a little bit of their actions. Blue's deck is very, very strong. Every time he reveals for like 10, 12 swords. It's very hard to beat him in combat, and you can see no one really tries, especially for combats that don't really give a point. Green and yellow have been fighting all game about factions, and I think because green stole an alliance from yellow, yellow's stealing an alliance back from green, which is good for me. So I'm also thinking about Scarab Point. However, I don't think that's the. I think that I can get there somehow, and if the game drags long enough and I draw the right cards, so I am not too focused on playing a Contaminator. It doesn't give me much in terms of benefits. Maybe I can use the water, get 2 troops in, but that changes into spice. Do I need the spice and because the faction bomb is dead, right? The faction bomb is dead. Eventually I pay a dagger. And what this allows me to do, right? It gives me 9 persuasion. 9 persuasion, I can get spice must flow this round, and I also can get the opulence point. So I can get up to 8 points this round. And threaten 2 points by factions, and more points to other things. So you can see Blue's reveal. One thing about Blue's reveal is that he doesn't have a lot of persuasion, right? He has a lot of swords, not a lot of persuasion. It's very hard for him to buy spice of slows. And this is because he trashes his convincings. So I get 2 points from one from opulence, one from spice of slow. Even though I have a last agent, I don't really care about it. Green puts in 3 extra troops now to beat yellow. I disagree with this. I mean, you have so many troops. You're the one who has potential to contest blue. I think you should at least play for your outs. I think one of your main outs is to win the next combat. Blue tries to play one of his intrigues. I tell him that he doesn't lose 2 troops, so he takes the intrigue back. So moving into round 8, okay, we're moving to round 8. I think at the start of this video, I've asked you also to take a look at one hand and consider what actions you would have taken in that situation. And you can watch how I decide to play it out. So how do we get there in this turn is that I actually don't draw very well this round. And because of how Ilban is, if you don't draw well, you can always go to Mentat, and Mentat is very strong for you. So if you're in 8 position, like in round 7, round 8, your first or second act, you can get these Mentats. Yeah, and so I get a Mentat first. I draw 2 cards, and suddenly my hand is looking decent, not great. So I don't have faction access, and what I do want to do is I want to get Solari in order to trigger appropriate, and I don't see a path for me to get there. So I know I have opulence in my deck, and with opulence I probably could try to weasel out something, but I draw into a spice must slow. Okay, so I want you to think for a moment. I think drawing at that point probably was the wrong thing to do, but yeah. So if you're in this situation, what will you do as me? So I don't really care about what the other players are doing. So a lot of times, I think players are always asking me, what am I thinking about other players? I don't think about other players all the time. I think about, can I win a combat? What spaces are available to me? I don't think about what they kind of doing. I think it's too much to think about. You just need to know what spots are they trying to prioritize. And because of how the board is set up, most of the time they are prioritizing interstellar shipping. They're prioritizing defending alliance. They're prioritizing drawing cards, or they're prioritizing deploying troops into combat. So just need to think about which of these they are doing, and you can have a rough idea of what spots they value. So what I choose to do, right, is I choose to play appropriate, to go to the Great Flat and draw 3 spice. No spice bonus again, but with these 3 spice, 1 tech negotiator, the intrigue that gets me 1 spice. yeah, that's 6 spice. 6 spice allows me to buy the tech that allows me to get 2 faction bombs, and that 2 faction bombs turns into 2 points. And with the remaining persuasion in hand, I'm still able to buy a spice must flow. And yeah, blue is trying to weasel up some points somehow. And yes, the combat points are definitely his based on how many swords he has. But you always have to wait against a spice must flow. He's going to strategy, he'll get the 2 points from combat, but he's missing out on the spice must flow. So that's one of the reasons why combat strategies are not the all-in combat strategies are not the best, because you are losing out on that spice must flow. So sure, spice must flows will pollute someone's deck, but at some point in time in the game, you are able to get around it. And Ilban is one of those in particular. You know, I didn't have a great hand, but Mentat allows me to fix that head and get the spice must flow. And even in round 5, I mean, that was one combat which I definitely could have won as well, right? So I put in the troops, I got up to 20 plus strength, and I could have won that combat. And that could have got me 1 point at then as well. So green is talking about how blue is the best player in the world. Then yellow says, yeah, he's still losing to me. Blue played this, I think, rather well. I think it's a very fun strategy to go for. A combat Ecaz build, every round you're playing so many daggers, you win every single combat without much pushback. But as you can see, later on in his buys, he's buying a lot of fragments, liaisons, and you can see that he's trying to convert it into additional points through spice must flows, because I mean, combats are not always reliable, and yeah, he's not able to buy the spice must flows. He wins the combat, he loses troops, but he does not. But in the end, I pick up the game as last position Ilban by buying a bunch of spice must flows, getting one alliance which no one really fights for, winning an early combat which because I won because I got Mentat, and through opulence that I also got through Mentat round 1. It might have not been opulence, it might have been something else. But with the nuke, you can try to buy something good. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something. So if you're in 4th position, don't know what to do, try Ilban, go well, play a dagger, draw a few cards, keep going to Mentat, keep drawing cards. You realize this is quite a powerful strategy. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.